Why are you getting into mining? Conversations about mining. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Andrew. How you going?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. In today's video, we just wanted to do it short and sharp and simple, and we want to just have a bit of a chat about why people are getting into mining. Because I don't know about you, but I'm coming across a lot of people now at the moment that are making about $80,000 to $90,000 a year, and when they find out that the entry level role is about $90,000 a year on an even time roster, they look at it and they go, "Oh, well, why would I want to go do that if I'm already making that at the moment?" And
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, do you want to take that one or?
Yeah, I guess it's you're going to be making the same amount of money, but you're only working half the time. And that half the time that you're away at work, you're getting your food paid for, your accommodation paid for. You really don't have, unless you're at the pub every night, which you can't really do anymore anyway. Um, you're really not spending any money. So it cuts down your expenses. And yeah, you're only working half the time. You've got half your time free to yourself to do what you want to do. So you're not going into another now $90,000 job to stay there forever. I assume some people might, but I assume that you want to be moving up and you want to be making double or triple that eventually. So I think it's a career path. It's just that foot in the door. It's that next step into mining if that's what you really want to do.
Yeah, I try to tell people that you're not getting into mining for the entry level job. So you're not getting in for the truck driving job, or you're not getting in for the nipper's job or the offsiders job. You're getting in for the service crew job or the pace crew job or the diamond driller
Yeah,
job. The tier two jobs that you step up into that you're going to make 130 to 160,000 doing on an even time roster. That's what you're getting into
yeah,
mining for. And then, if you're lucky enough to kick on up above that to a bogger or charge up, you're looking at a couple of $100,000 a year, and then onto
yeah,
a jumbo. And everybody's seen the $400,000 jumbo jobs that we've advertised that we've posted around the place that we've re-advertised for some of the companies just to show how much jumbo operators can make. But yeah,
yeah,
it's not unusual for those guys to make $2,500 to $3,000 a day. And that's what you're
yeah,
getting into mining for. But I think the big thing most people are getting into mining for these days is the roster, the week on, week off,
yeah,
or the 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And because, like, my instant turnaround when somebody tells me, "Oh, I'm driving a truck, on the road and I'm making 110,000 a year," but they're working 6 days a week, 48 weeks a year. So you're pretty
yeah,
much, going to be making exactly the same sort of money as that if you go into a two and one roster straight away, or you're going to be making not much off that if you go into an even time roster. But like if you go into a two and one roster, you still have 17 weeks a year off. If you go into the even time roster, it gets a lot more ridiculous. You end up having more time off than you actually spend work. I've got a few mates
yeah,
that are in that situation that are loving it. But yeah,
yeah.
but that's why you get into mining. That's the attraction of mining and being able to go work around the world as well. If you spend any length of time in it, there's lots of opportunities, especially with what we do in the underground space, to go
Yeah.
overseas. Barminco just picked up another contract in the US, so they were looking for people to go over to the US for a holiday slash working environment. Their job ads were putting it out at. Yeah, so that's why you're trying to get into mining for those jobs. If you're sort of focusing in on driving a truck and you're thinking that's going to be the end of your mining career and you're just going to get in and drive a truck, I think you should do some more research and see where you can go from there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because that's almost the least amount of money you can make to be away all that time. Like you really want to do some more research. If dump truck operating or, operating water carts or something like that is something that you're seriously looking at and you think that's going to be your be all and end all or the job you're going to do forever until you retire, definitely do some research or give us a call and have a chat because there's a lot more exciting roles that you'll probably enjoy more and you'll definitely have a better trajectory to make a lot more money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And a lot of people just but spending time in the industry. I often tell people if you end up in the industry for a couple of years, like some of these guys that I've been talking to lately that have done the training years ago that have called me back. Yeah, so some of these guys, they're just looking at where the best option is for their next career move. But yeah, they're going to be on 150,000 just because they've been in the industry for a couple of years,
Yeah,
because that's what you can get if you're in this industry for a couple of years and you've paid attention.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and if you have the opportunity, you're lucky enough to have a bit of opportunity in front of you, then you can definitely go higher, especially at the moment where everybody's trying to ramp up production with this huge gold price.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. And I tell you, this is just, a bit out there for the next sort of 18 months. But when it's really going to go crazy is in about 18 months to 2 years' time when nickel and lithium start picking up back up again. And
Yeah.
because that'll happen and the gold will still be strong because it doesn't look like gold's going to stop anytime soon now. And the other things are
Yeah.
going to come back online. And then it's just going to go absolutely apeshit. And that's the
Yeah.
time. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we have $500,000 jumbo operators at that stage. And, you're making
Yeah.
$250,000 a year on a bogger and, service crews making a couple of 100,000 a year just because there's so much money floating around and they just need people. And whenever they need people, the employers just poach. And the way they poach is they offer a little bit more money and they go and get everybody else's crew. And I've been watching that happen for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely coming. And so now's a really good time to get in there, get that experience, get that 12 or 18 months experience under your belt of one of those lower paying roles so that when this next boom does happen, you're an experienced, after 6 months, you're experienced, then you can kind of start picking and choosing jobs. But if you had 12 or 18 months, like the world is your oyster.
Yeah, you can take the next level up. So one of the guys I'm
Yeah.
talking to, the job that he's on in his current mine, they've trained him up on the next job, but there's not a spot for him. And this is the problem that every miner has. When you train somebody up on the next job and you make them capable of doing that job, and you don't have a spot for them to go into, they'll give it 6 months or 12 months. This guy's given it 12 months, but now
Yep.
he's at the stage where, okay, you obviously don't have a spot for me. If I go down the road, I can make an extra $40,000, $50,000 a year. What would
Yeah.
you do? It's a
Yeah,
no-brainer.
exactly.
And like I tell people, they understand, that especially HR might not understand because they tend to have their head in the clouds sometimes with what's going on. But the foreman and the shift boss are all going to understand. Nobody's going to begrudge you leaving one job and going down the road because you're going to get paid an extra 20 or 30 or $40,000 a year. Nobody's, that's a
No.
perfectly acceptable reason for leaving. But yeah,
Yeah.
just be straight up with people about doing it though. That's all.
Yeah, that's be really transparent about it. Give the appropriate notice periods. Be really transparent and honest about it. Don't play any games or not show up or go out on sick leave and not come back. Like don't do anything dodgy like that because the industry's way too small. We say it all the time, but it's not a good look. You want a good reference from that job. You might want to go back there. You might end up working with some of them again because that happens a lot. So yeah,
And
best to
and
do the right thing.
I'm always surprised by the amount of times that people get counter offers. Like I've
Yeah,
worked with a lot of people that have just had enough and they're just like, no, I'm going in there. And they come back out again and they don't like normally people are relieved when they quit because they've done the thing. I remember one
yeah,
bugger operator come back out and he's got this look on his face. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, oh, he just offered me 5 grand more than the other guy offered me. So
yeah,
he offered him more to stay
yeah,
than what he was going to get going down the road. So like, what do I do now? I was like, yeah, good problem to have, sort of thing.
yeah,
But don't be surprised if because there's not a lot of people around. And if you're good at your job, don't be surprised if you get a counter offer. Don't deliberately go and
yeah,
do it trying to get a counter offer. But if
yeah,
you've got your ducks all lined up and you're ready to move, don't be surprised if they try and keep you because that happens a lot too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It does. It does.
Excellent. So yeah, so when getting your mining job or trying to get into the industry, just make sure that you've got a really good understanding of what your end goals are, what you're trying to achieve out of it, whether it's the lifestyle thing with the roster or whether you're just trying to make bulk money, what the plan is going in. You need to have a plan going in. That's the most
You
important
do.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
I think so. And another thing we always have people say is, oh, why would I move jobs if I'm already making 100 grand and go and do something for 100 grand and then I miss time out with my family and I'm away from home. But if you're working like one of the like the long haul truck driving jobs and things like that, if you're doing 12 or 14-hour days anyway, you're not getting any time with your family. To be honest, in the evenings, you're coming home, you're going to sleep. The kids are probably already in bed. Your wife's probably already wound down, and then the weekends you might get one day off, so you're usually exhausted or you've got to do chores around the house. When you have those even time rosters, especially like even a 2-in-1, you get a whole week off. You can do school pickups, you can
I was the
actually have
dad that was
time.
at school.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because I got to go to the majority of things with the kids because I was here.
yeah,
You missed out on
yeah,
some things, like anything. It's just the luck of the draw. But I was one of the dads that was able to pitch up during the day. Not all the time, but I was because of the even
yeah.
time roster.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think you actually get more quality time. You get way more quality time. That even just having a whole week off, like you get more done. You get to spend more time with each other, and you're having more actual nice time together, not just hurrying everyone off to bed and then hurrying and getting them off to school again in the morning like you do when you're working 9 to 5.
Yeah, definitely. And the other good thing about mining is because there's so much work around at the moment, if you do need a little bit of extra cash, you can do the overtime shifts. The way we work with mining, you don't do any extra overtime on the day because it's 12-hour shifts continuous. But instead of flying out, you stay in an extra couple of days and you do an extra couple of shifts, and that gives you some overtime.
Yep.
And a lot of people do that at the moment and pad out the pay packet doing that. You can make a lot of money in this industry if you want to, if you set yourself up properly and you go in knowing exactly what, with a good goal and an achievable goal. And that's, I suppose, what we're saying is that, you just need to make sure that you've got a good plan and that you know what your destination is, that it's not just, the $90,000 truck driving job at the start. The destination is the $400,000 jumbo job at the end, in 10 years time. That's what everybody needs to have a plan. And not everybody wants to get on the jumbo. Some people just want to get to a bogger, drive a bogger, a couple of $100,000 a year for mucking around with a bogger all day on remotes. There could be worse things to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely make a goal. It makes the whole thing easier. Not only, those days where you're finding it hard, but just the transition to living in camp and being away from friends or family and, missing out on some things. If you've got that goal in mind and you know that it's a set amount of time, or what you're working towards for money or whatever, it makes everything a lot easier if you're really clear in your head about why you're doing it.
Yep. And just everybody needs to keep in the back of their head too that, if it was easy, they wouldn't be turning over more than 50% of their new starters. So just be aware of that, because that's why there's so many job ads out there. Everybody runs through their green new starters, unfortunately. And the easiest way around that is to do the 3-step plan and get the training done and get your resume done. That'll stop all that. Yeah, excellent.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So if you've got any more questions that you'd like to ask about the industry, or you've got a $35 question that you'd like Jess to ask me, please send them through. And if you could share the video around and like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.
Thank you.